And let's grab our box here. I'm just going to go to isolation mode on this, Alt Q. This one has a turbo smooth applied, so I'm going to trash the symmetry modifier. We'll zoom in with Z. And we just want to make sure here that we untick the isoline display option. And we could map it with 2 iterations applied. What I'm going to do is lower it to 1 iteration, and then we'll convert it to poly and map it with 1, and then put a second one on top of our mapping. And the reason you want to make sure you untick isoline display is if you leave that ticked on, you convert this to poly. It's going to completely screw this up. Okay, as you can see. So just undo that, Control Z. So just make sure you untick this, set it to 1, and then we'll convert it to poly. And you can see it didn't distort the mesh. Alright, so we'll map it like this. I think what I'm going to do is cut off the bottom to start, so let's put the unwrap on. Drop back into edge. You can use point to point if you want to. I'm just going to use the loop feature again. So I'm going to zoom in here on the corner and just grab the center edge, holding Control, click 1 on this edge loop, and we'll go around to the other side and do the same thing. Right, just grab one here, and I'm grabbing that center one. We'll loop those. Just make sure it goes all the way around and actually connects to itself, and then convert it to a seam. So that'll cut the bottom off into one piece. For the center portion here, I think I'm just going to unfold that, so I'm going to do the same thing at the top. Just grab a center edge loop here on the corner, one on the top and the side, and then we'll do one on the bottom and the other side. So that one and that one. Loop again, convert to a seam, and then we're going to have to split it down the length of it. So let's just exit isolation mode for a sec, and I'm just going to figure out what corner I want to do it on. Again, it's a good idea to hide it, so I'm going to go around to the back here. And let's actually go into isolation mode. And I'm going to split it right on this side here, because I know that's going to be hidden later. So just grab an edge, loop it, convert it to a seam. Alright, so that takes care of the bottom portion. For the box part up here, there's a couple different ways we can unfold it. I think what I might do to make it a little easier is just cut off these small ones on the bottom 2 sides. So again, I'm just going to grab a edge on all 3 sides of it, loop, alright, just like that, and just make sure it touches the other seam, and convert it, and then we'll go around to the other side and just do the same thing. So grab that one, this one, holding Control, and this guy over here, holding Control, loop, convert, and then I think we can just split it right up the corners here. So let's grab an edge loop here, like that, and this one should stop right on the corner. If it goes around, then you probably selected the support edge loop, so just make sure you grab the center one instead, loop that, and we'll go around to the other side, do the same thing on the corners. So just grab a center one, here and here, loop again. Alright, so basically like that, and then just convert it. So what we'll essentially be doing is we'll unfold the top, the front and the back will fold up, the 2 ends will fold up as well as one piece, and then we'll just unfold the center portion, and then we'll just have the bottom and these 2 little pieces flattened out by themselves. And we could probably stitch some of it back together after. So let's just go to face, we'll start on the bottom, grab a polygon, hit F2 if you can't see your selection, expand it, just use a planar map here, grab it on the side, expand it, and I'm just going to pelt this I think for now, and we'll just move up here, grab one on the side. These guys are flat, so we can just use a planar map. Same as over here, planar map that, and then for the top, just grab any face. Just going to rotate around here, it's a little awkward, I think I'm upside down, so just make sure you get the whole top selected, and we'll just use a pelt map here. Right, pull it out, commit, and let's put our checker pattern on, hit F2 so we can see a little easier, and we'll just start pulling this stuff out again. So I'm just going to turn on by element again, turn off my checker background, and just pull these guys out so we can see what we're working with. Alright. And let's just use rotate and kind of straighten everything out if we can. A little better anyway. Alright, turn this one sideways maybe, and just make this one kind of vertical. Alright, so open up the relax dialog, just change your mounts, your face angles, and we'll just relax the center portion, which is this right here. And you can see it's kind of twisting up here. We have a lot of face on this, it's subdivided, so sometimes that'll happen. If that does, just try using edge angles instead. And it should pull it out. And then you can always go back and do face angles one more time to make sure it's nice and straight. So let's just move up to the top, and we'll grab a box piece, relax that. And we'll just grab all three of these little small ones and just do them all at the same time. Alright, so that looks decent. Just going to rescale again. And again, if you don't have that option, just manually grab your chunks with element turned on and just scale them down until it kind of matches for the most part. And we'll just try to stitch this back together. So I'm just going to turn on my angle snaps, and let's rotate the shaft piece upright so it's kind of in the right direction. And I'm just going to move this over here. We'll grab the top, move that up here. I think we can probably stitch that back together. Let's try. So I'm just going to go to edge, turn off by element, and I'm just going to grab some side edges here. Alright, we'll grab those two, and these guys here holding control. I'm going to go right to that center corner edge again. And we'll just right click and stitch selected, stitch that back on. The bottom we could probably do the same thing. So I'm just going to zoom in on the side, just grab these two ones here. And I'll just manually grab these. Reach the corner edge again, right click, stitch selected. That'll put the bottom back on, and then for the two side pieces up here, you can either leave them floating. We might be able to attach them to the ends of these pieces, so I'm going to try. So zoom in up here, and we'll just drag a selection. Just don't want to have any of the horizontal ones selected, so just hold Alt and deselect those. And I think I'm going to stop right here at this loop, and we'll stitch and see if it works. Looks good. Do the same thing on this side. Deselect the horizontal ones, stitch selected. Alright, there we go, all one piece. So I'm just going to scale this one down a little bit, it's pretty huge, and we'll just shove it out of the way somewhere. Drop it, close this up. Now we had two iterations on this when we modeled it, and we do want this piece to be nice and smooth, so I'm just going to actually apply another Turbo Smooth to the top of this above the unwrap. Okay, just one iteration, no isoline display. And you can see it really didn't distort the mapping at all, and that's because we mapped it with one actually collapsed onto it. Alright, so let's exit, just make sure it's going to look okay over here. And I think that should work fine. Alright, so let's move on to the next piece, which is just the cylinder detail here. Grab that, trash the symmetry. We'll just do this really simply again, so unwrap, grab an edge, convert it to a seam, and just grab any face, expand your selection, cylindrical map, turn it off, open the editor, throw the checker on, hit F2 so you can see, and again we'll just squish it down a little bit. So let's change our scale mode, let's do it horizontal. Alright, just going to take it out just slightly until they look fairly square, like that maybe. Good enough, and we'll just pull this down and drop it over here somewhere. Yeah, that takes care of that one. Alright, and again, you can see my seam right there. I'm not really being too careful where I choose to cut it. It's a good idea to be careful and really think about it, but I didn't, so I'm just going to rotate this again. So let's recenter our pivot. So hierarchy tab, effectively only certain object, turn it off. I have my rotation coordinates here set to local again, and I'm just going to rotate it just so it's hidden back there and you won't see it. Alright, so let's move on to this plate piece or the shield piece on the leg here. This is pretty low res, it's not going to be too hard to do. I'm just going to actually hide that one. Get that out of there, grab this, we'll trash our symmetry again. We have a smooth modifier applied, I'm just going to leave that, and we'll just put the unwrap on top. Select edge, and we can probably cut off the top and bottom and just cut this into 4 pieces. So let's grab an edge maybe up here on the chamfer, do a loop, should go all the way around, just convert that to a seam. Do the same thing at the bottom, down here, just grab an edge on that chamfer, loop it, convert to a seam, and we'll just cut the inside out as well. So let's maybe grab, I'll just use point-to-point seam here again. I'm just going to start right on that vert there where the seam is. Select that, just move up to the kink in the leg and just keep going down to the next vert. Alright, so all the way up to the top. Again, we just want to make sure our seams actually touch each other, or else it won't unfold properly. So just check that, and I'll just do the same thing here. Click on that vert, that one, and that one. Alright, so basically what we're doing is we're cutting out the inside and we're going to unfold the outside with the two sides attached, and then the top and bottom will be separate pieces. Alright, so let's grab face, just select a pulley on the inside, expand it. We'll just use pelt here. Alright, pull it out, commit, grab one on the outside, expand it, pelt it, and we'll grab one on the bottom. Expand it. For these guys, we can probably just planar map it, so just hit planar map. And you can see it's a little bit bent, don't worry about that, we'll fix it in a second. So we'll just move up to the top and do the same thing. Expand our selection, planar map. And again, if you want to, you can play with the alignment options if your gizmo's kind of out of whack like this. But I'll just leave it, and we'll just pull these out. So let's turn on by element again. Grab our chunks, just pull them out so we can see what we're doing. We'll grab the outside of the leg and just rotate it upright. Same with the inside. These guys I'm just going to try to kind of straighten out. We might have to do it manually, but we'll just rotate them like that maybe. And we'll open up relax. And I'll try to do this as fast as I can. I know it's a little bit tedious because it's repetitive. It's basically the same process on everything. Alright, so let's start relaxing. So again, change your amount to 1, change it to face angles, and just start with the bottom. Just relax it a couple times, then do the top. Alright, you can see that these aren't perfectly straight, so we are going to have to move them in a second, but we'll just move to the outside here. Relax that, and then finally do the inside. Alright, I'm just going to close that, and we'll just kind of move this stuff around a bit. Just going to put the two pieces of the inside and outside next to each other, and just straighten them out. Alright, let's turn off our angle snaps. And if you want to, you can flip this over and butt it up against the side. It'll save you a little bit of space. I think I'm just going to leave it like this. I might relax them again though now that I've rotated them. And let's do something with the top here. Alright, so if you ever have a bent chunk of UVs like this, you can move it manually. So I'm just going to grab vertex, turn off by element, grab these guys, and just kind of pull them over to straighten it out. And we'll just grab these ones, I'm just going to pull them up. Alright, good enough, not perfect, but that's okay. So we'll just close that. I'm going to rescale my pieces again, and if you want to, you can stitch some of these back on. Let's actually just move these out so they're not overlapping. And this looks like it's the top, so I'm going to move that up there. And this is the bottom down here. So we'll shove this underneath. You can leave it like that if you want to, or you can stitch it back on, which I guess we can do. So let's go back to edge, turn off by element, just grab the bottom edge there, stitch selected, move up to the top, and grab this one, stitch selected. And we might want to relax this just so we don't have any distortion. Alright, so back to face, just grab our chunks, relax again, just to straighten everything out. And let's take a look over here and make sure everything's going to be okay. We do have this kind of kink in the model here in the leg, so we might get a little bit of distortion, as you can kind of see here. But that's just because the checker pattern is perfectly straight and these faces aren't, so it's going to obviously taper a little bit. So that's okay. That's correct. Alright, so let's just grab these guys. I'm going to scale them down a little bit. And we'll just shove them over here. Close up the rollout, exit isolation mode. And that should work fine, I think. So we'll just move up to the next piece, which is a cylindrical piece here. So I'm going to grab that. Isolation mode again. Dump the symmetry. Same deal with these ones as before. It's pretty simple, so just put the unwrap on, grab any edge, convert it to a seam, grab a face, expand it, cylindrical map it, turn it off, open the editor. Alright, get the checker pattern on there. And just use scale again. I'm going to use the horizontal one. Alright, just square them up. That's fine. Stick it outside somewhere other than the 0 to 1 box. I might scale it down a little bit again. We're going to have to sort all these pieces out after, and they're going to be all huge, so if you want to, you can just scale them down so they're a little bit more manageable. Or you can wait until later, it doesn't matter. Alright, so we'll call that one down, just close up the rollout, exit isolation mode. Again, I have my seam right on the front, so I'm just going to rotate it on local again. Let's just center our pivot to make sure we don't have a problem. And just give it a spin, just so you don't see that, that seam. Alright, so let's move up to the next piece, which is this one here. I might just do another save here. Never a bad idea. And these are also turbo smooth, so let's go into isolation mode. Dump the symmetry. Make sure we untick isoline display and lower our iterations to 1. And we'll just map it like this. So I'm going to convert it to poly. And sometimes when you're doing this, what you can do is actually come in manually and optimize the mesh. We don't need to necessarily have all these edges running all over the place. So if you want to come in and take out a few, you can, but I think I'll just leave it as is, and we'll just throw the unwrap on. Alright, so back to edge, we're going to have to cut the inside of our holes out, so I'm just going to start right there. So just grab the corner edge again, on the top and bottom, holding control, do a loop, split it. Okay, move to the next one, grab the corner, loop, and cut. And we're going to have to cut off the outside as well. We could leave the top attached to the sides, but then we'd have to put some relief cuts in here so it would actually straighten out. So I think what I might do is just hack it into 3 pieces. So let's grab the corner here and down here, loop those, convert them to a seam, and let's just split this maybe right at the end so we have a smaller UV chunk to work with. So I'm just going to grab it right there, do a loop, cut it to a seam, go around to the other end, do the same thing, right on the center edge loop, loop that, convert it to a seam. Again, it'll go all the way around. And we do need to have a split on these inside faces, so we can leave that one, but we don't really need it to be split right here. So let's just zoom in if we can. And again, it's a little hard to see. If you want to, you can go to Edit Seams and just Alt-click those again, like we did earlier, to deselect them. I think I'll just leave it cut, and I'll weld those back together in the editor window. Okay, so let's grab a face on the top, expand our selection. I'm going to planar map this. Same thing with the bottom, expand it, planar map it. For the inside of the hole, we'll just grab a face there, expand it. We can use cylindrical again here, so just hit cylindrical, turn it off. Do the same thing with this one, cylindrical, turn it off. And then for the sides, let's expand it. We'll just use pelt here, I think. So pull it out, close it, grab one on the other side, expand it, pelt it, stretch it, and commit. And I think that takes care of all of them, so we'll just put the checker on so we can see. And let's just turn off our background here, make our window a little bigger, and we'll just start pulling this stuff around. Again, I'm going to turn on by element, grab our chunks, just move them out of the way. There's the top and bottom and the inside. And you can see here I do have some split UVs like I was mentioning earlier. You really shouldn't have any green seams on the inside of your islands, so we need to weld these verts right here. But I'll do that in a second. I'm just going to start maybe with the top and the bottom here. So let's rotate them just a bit, and we'll open up the relax box again, reset our settings, and just pull it out a couple times. Same with this one. Alright, that's good for those two. So let's move to the next piece. And this is one of the outside ones, so I'm just going to rotate that and relax it. Try to get it as straight as we can. Grab the next one. I think that's the other side. Yeah, it is. So just rotate it, relax it. And then this is the inside of one of the holes, so I'm just going to squish this down with scale again. Alright, let's zoom in here so we can see. Alright, just squash it down. And grab the next one, which is this one here, I believe. Yep, so just take that down, again. What you can do sometimes if you have two parts of the UVs that are exactly the same, you can just actually put them right on top of each other when you do your scaling, so you can kind of judge if you're getting them even. Close enough. So we'll stick that there, and like I said, we have some broken seams here. So let's go into Vertex, and we're just going to weld these together. So I'm just going to grab this pair right here. Let's actually turn off by element first. Grab those two, right click, weld selected. And I haven't actually set up any keyboard shortcuts yet in Max 2012, but that's always a good idea. It'll definitely save you some time, but I'll just use the right click menu for now. So just go along, stitch every one until you don't have any green ones in the center, and then just do the same thing down here. Weld selected. You could also use the buttons if you prefer, but this is just as quick. So we'll just weld those together to make sure we don't have any splits or any weirdness. That one looks okay, and I think these ones look okay. So we'll just stitch this back together as best we can. So let's just get rid of the relax box for now. I'm going to rescale again. And I think what we can probably do is stitch the outside to the top. So let's just make sure we have the top selected. Alright, there it is, down here. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to go to Edge, turn off by element, and just grab a couple edges like I did before, starting on the center ones. And just work my way out to maybe, you don't want to go too far down where they start to bend, but I might go right to this one here on both sides, and then stitch selected, and I'll do the same thing down here. Just grab these two. Okay, you just want to make sure you're grabbing the green ones, not the inner ones. Alright, those guys, stitch selected, and then I'm going to move up to the top here and just start grabbing a couple more, and it will show you the corresponding edge that matches up with it in blue. So we're just going to work our way along again. And I'm just going to go as far as this one here, so I'll grab these two and stitch the other side back on. Alright, there's no way to put the inside of the holes back in there, so what I might do is just stack them on top. I'm just going to relax this chunk again now that we've stitched it. So again, face by element. If you want to, you can give it a little bit of a rotation just to help it along, and just relax. I'm going to undo that and just try it on face angles instead. And I find 9 out of 10 times face angles works better on most things. So just try them both until you get the right one that looks okay. So we'll just move this up here. These guys we can try to relax as well. That's fine. I'm just going to stack them up. Grab the whole thing. Let's scale it down a little bit uniformly. And just shove it over here somewhere. Close that up, close the window, exit face and close up the rollout, and then we'll just exit isolation mode for a second. And like we did with the one down here, this box, we have to apply another iteration of Turbo Smooth to this to have it actually smooth out. So let's put that on the top of the stack. Again, we'll just use one iteration and just make sure we don't have any distortion. That looks good. And we basically have the exact same piece right here, so we could either copy the UVs off this piece and put them on this one, or we could just replace the piece, which I think I might do. So I'm just going to go to move here, going to change my coordinate system to local again, and I'm just going to shift drag a copy of this down and replace the other one with it. So copy, and just make sure it's kind of lined up with the original. You can use the align tool if you want to, or you can manually do it. So I'm just going to stick it right there, and then we'll grab the one that's not mapped and just delete it out of there. Alright, and let's maybe move up to the next piece, which is this guy. So again, into isolation mode, trash the symmetry. For this one, we're probably going to have to cut it up into a few different pieces. Let's maybe just put the unwrap on, and we'll start on the top. And again, I'm on edge here, and I think for this, I'm just going to cut off the top cap using point-to-point seam. So we'll just click on invert and just follow that loop around. Right, back to where we started. Again, just make sure you go all the way around like that. And we'll go down to this end, do the same thing. just give it a check, make sure it goes all the way. You can see it didn't again. So I'm just going to connect those two up, right click, and let's move around to the back. And I think I'm going to just chop this off the same way, so I'm just going to do it right here on the bottom of the chamfer. Just follow that loop. Alright, connect them up, check it, looks okay, and I will just do the same thing around this piece. I'm just going to use the loop option here instead because it's a little bit quicker, so just grab an edge, loop it, convert it to a seam, and we'll do the same thing down here. Rotate around, just grab an edge here and here, loop them, cut them into a seam, and we'll just split it right down the length again, so we'll just grab another edge, do a loop, and convert to a seam. So basically like that. And let's just go to Polygon, grab the end cap, we'll just planar map that, move around to the other end, planar map this one, grab one on the side, we'll expand it, cylindrical map that, same with this end, and then we'll just planar map the back pieces, so expand it, planar map it, and the same with that side. And then the center portion, we'll just use the cylindrical map again. And that should do it. So let's throw the checker on, hit F2, open up our window, get rid of our background, turn on by element, and we'll just stretch them out. And we'll just work our way down. So I'm just going to grab the top and bottom caps and these two guys. And let's open up relax. Just grab all four of these, relax them quickly, and then we'll just grab the next portion, which is the center. Again, I'm just going to use scale. You can try just relaxing it if you want to, but I'm just going to squish it down just a bit, like that, and let's relax it just to make sure there's no distortion. Grab the next piece, which is up here. And squish that way down and relax it. And we have the split EVs again. You can see on the end here it's splitting apart, so we're going to have to weld that up, but we'll just do this one. And let's pull these down on top of each other. And we're starting to get a little bit of a twist here. I'm just going to change this to edge angles, see if we can pull it out a bit, and then we'll go back to face and just see if we can get it straightened out again. Alright, just rotate it down. And they don't have to be absolutely perfectly straight. Generally you want to get them as straight as you can, because if you have them wavy like this, the texture is going to look kind of wavy as well. So just get it as straight as you can, or use the straighten options. And let's just scale it down a little bit more. And I'm going to weld at the ends here, so let's zoom in, go to vertex, turn off the element, right click, select target weld, and we'll just weld this one to this one, this one to this one, and just pull these down like that. And we'll do the same thing on this one, just weld them up. Like that. And let's grab the last piece, which is right here. Just want to make sure that this is going to be okay because it's the biggest piece, so I'm just going to relax it again. And it looks like it's good. So let's rescale. I'm just going to stack everything up again, so let's just grab the end pieces, stack them underneath. Just put the cap pieces up above. And we'll just move these somewhere as well. And I might change the way I have these laid out when we actually layer our UVs for texturing, but for now I'm just going to leave them in a group, stick them over here somewhere, and we'll just close it up. And exit isolation mode. And that looks good. Again, just check and make sure you don't have a seam right where you'll notice it. If you do, just rotate your piece, but that looks good. So I'm just going to leave it as is, and we're getting up to the top here, so let's do another save.